Do not enter the White Woods, chat. Do not enter the White Woods. Now, I'm telling you right off the bat, I've seen these cards already, and I will enter the White Woods. You cannot stop me from entering the White Woods. All right, these guys are also in the Infinite Forbidden. It is a quote-unquote new archetype, but they are part of the Diabellstar lore. They are like, I think this one is literally little Diabellstar. So it's kind of like, I don't know what to compare it to, but it's like, it's part of the lore. Lore Andes, do your thing. You know how it goes. It is a new archetype that premieres in Infinite Forbidden, but it is part of Diabellstar's lore. And it's honestly very, very interesting in a lot of different ways. But let's first go over the cards together. Let me make these a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. Asteria of the White Woods, level 2 light spellcaster effect monster. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You can send... Hold up. Okay. You can send one spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon a light spellcaster tuner from your deck. If a spell trap is sent to your graveyard to activate a monster effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Two effects that are both white powerful, and I believe this entire archetype, if I remember correctly, they all have synergy with sending spell traps as cost to the graveyard, right? That's what it's all about. Now, the first thing I thought, and I mean, you guys probably know already what I thought when I saw this, but the first thing I thought when I saw this card was that it tutors Quem, and it's level 2, and it can send, it has synergy with Runic, because you can send Runics. Or you can also, the second effect works, for example, when you discard a spell for Hugin. And then it comes back from the graveyard. You ever think about that? Either way, it's also a level 2, so maybe there's some, I don't know what kind of targets you have for light spellcaster tuners if you're only looking for level 2s. But this card is nice. It's not a tuner itself. That's worth pointing out. But I think this card is good already, right off the bat. Strong card. Second one, we have Reset of the White Woods. I believe this one is mini Diabells, like the one that we're getting in Legacy of Destruction. I think this is the mini version. Level 2 light spellcaster. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You can send one spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, then add a White Woods monster from your deck to your hand, except itself. If a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field during your opponent's turn while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this to your hand. So both of these have pretty good tutoring abilities. Plus, they have recursion when they're in the graveyard in different ways. I think that is always a very dangerous connection or a dangerous combination of effects when you have a good first effect and then the second effect in the graveyard is good for like the long term. And when I say dangerous, I don't mean like not concerning, but like that's usually what makes cards good, right? It's like a good primary effect, a good reason to play the card, and then a little bonus in the long term. And that's honestly often how even like good grindy decks are being made, right? Because if you're playing like a crazy combo deck, these sort of follow-up effects, they don't matter, right? They don't really matter in the long in like the games that end immediately. So like usually I'm a fan of this kind of design where they have a good first effect that makes me want to use those cards, and then a good effect in the long run. I like that. Yeah. So they have, I think this is one of those archetypes where I think you're going to go into the tank and look for some great spell and traps that have good graveyard effects. Like, I don't know if this is maybe a deck that wants to look back into like Metal Foes Fusion or that kind of stuff, or Bamboo Swords or whatever, like all that kind of stuff that you can just discard for free, right? And just get all their effects going for no cost, essentially. That would be nice. And here we go. They have their own level 4 tuners. So just in case, if for some weird reason you don't want to summon Quem from your deck, you can play the the tutors from their own archetype. Anyways, we have Sylve of the White Woods, level 4 light spellcaster tuner. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn each. If this card is normal or special, you can add a Whitewood spell trap from your deck to your hand. So this is already also very, very good. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target a Whitewood synchro monster you control or in your grave, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon this card, but its effects are negated. That's pretty good. That is a really good effect, honestly. Like maybe Whitewood's Runic is good even without the Quem package, but this card is also very nice. So basically, on summon, tutors one of the spell traps, and then in the graveyard, you can even like dodge stuff like Veiler or Imperm on your synchros. Just get it back into the extra deck, bring this back from the graveyard. Pretty good. You can't get another search because it's negated, but it is still very, very good. And it also doesn't banish itself, which is very nice. And then they even have another one, which is Arcia. So I believe this one is connected to Arciella. This one is Silvera, obviously. So yeah, this is the Arciella one. Also level 4 tuner. You can only use the first, second, and third effect once per turn. If you control a Whitewoods monster, special summon from hand, very easy extension. Send a spell trap from hand or field to the graveyard, draw 1 card. This is how you can send your, if you're done with your runic fountain, you can send it to the graveyard, draw a card, and then carry it back to your hand. If this card's in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target a Whitewood synchro you control, return it to the extra deck, special summon. This same effect as the other one. Essentially. Same effect as the other one to quick effect, bounce a synchro, and return it. I just noticed that you can also bounce synchros in the graveyard. That makes it even better. That makes it even crazier. Because like you synchro, because I'm pretty sure that the first one, the synchro 6 is already a synchro tuner. So let's say you summon this, you synchro into the level 6, you make another synchro with the level 6, and then this thing just comes back for free by recycling your level 6 synchro. This archetype looks great. Rick Burp Sanchez, thank you for the 14 months. I can't tell them when to release the ban list. It doesn't work like that. Trust me, I'm not making the ban list. Okay, now everything, honestly, I'm gonna say this right now. These 4 cards would already be good as an engine, even without the synchros being good, literally. You could already play these probably as like some kind of engine in like bestial decks or runic decks or whatever. I'm sure they have synergy with other decks too. And this would already be good. Now, if the synchro monsters, I actually don't remember what the synchro monsters do, so I have to like reread them. But if the synchro monsters are actually good, then this is very, very powerful. Very, very strong. We have the Silvera Synchro. Silvera, Witch Wolf of the White Woods, level 6 light spellcaster synchro tuner. 1900 attack, 2400 defense, generic. If this card is special summoned, you can change all face-up monsters your opponent controls to face-down defense position. Illusion and spellcasters, again 500. Also, if they attack a defense position monster, inflict double piercing battle damage to your opponent. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know why they gave this one a battle phase effect. When in all the decks I'm gonna be playing this card in, I'm not gonna have a battle phase. Weird. Anyways, this is very powerful if you can synchro summon on the opponent's turn. On your own turn, I guess this could come in handy sometimes, but yeah, it's a decent start. It's a decent start, but we can do better than this. We have Arciella, Wicked of the Whitewoods, also a level 6 light spellcaster synchro tuner. Also generic. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can send a spell trap from hand or field to the graveyard, add a Whitewoods card or light spellcaster from your deck to your hand. There we go. This is the one, right? This is the one where this one is just great, right? This one is just great. It adds any Whitewoods cards or it adds a light spellcaster, including Effect Veiler, including Quem, Cartesia, Ecclesia, whatever. This card is very, very strong. And the second effect is also better. Illusion and spellcasters gain 500. Also, they can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That can actually be relevant sometimes, right? So I think it's all about, I literally think it's all about you need to be able to fuel all these effects very efficiently, and then these cards are very, very strong. And then we have Diabell, Fiendess of the White Woods. So this is the Diabell Synchro 8, not a tuner this time. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned using a tuner synchro monster as material, you can target a spell trap in your graveyard added to your hand. Now that is great, right? If I synchro summon this, I just add any spell trap from my graveyard back to my hand. That's very strong. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can send a spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon a level 7 or lower tuner synchro from your extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. So on summon, this thing gives you a card back from your graveyard, right? This thing is generic. However, I think you guys are overreacting a little bit about this card being generic, because I can't think of that many decks that want to summon this card, because you need a synchro tuner for to make this. And then I think adding a spell trap, Mannadium does it so easy. Yeah, and which spell trap does Mannadium want to add back from the graveyard? In which universe does Mannadium want to make this over like Axel Stardust? I think the problem with this effect, or like the reason why I think adding spell and traps back from the graveyard is somewhat okay in terms of card design, is because most powerful spell traps are once per turn anyways, or they are like, it's not very reliable, right? Like I don't know, like even in a runic deck, I don't even know what I would want to add back with this, because most of the good runics are going to be back to the bottom of the deck, you know. Like it's I don't think this kind of effect is that problematic. It's good, and it's gonna be, you can make use of it, but I think the first effect is actually not that insane. I think the second effect is more interesting, right? Because you just like tutor out a tuner synchro. You can do all kinds of things with this, right? The simplest thing you can do is you can summon Formula Synchron and then synchro into Baron, because this is a level 8, right? That is the first thing you can do. The other thing you can do is you can just summon Silvera to book your opponent's entire field. You can also summon this on your own turn, right? Like let's say you summon, I don't know, Silvera to bait like an impermanence, then you make this, add back a spell trap, then your opponent does something, and then you use the effect to summon out this, and then this searches you an extender and all that kind of stuff, right? There's definitely things that you can do with this. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the design on all three of these synchros, because all three of these synchros are good and powerful, but they're also interesting in terms of how they play. Like nothing here is just like Omni Negate or all that kind of stuff. I just find this cool. I just find this well designed. I like this. I don't know what to tell you. I like this archetype a lot so far. The only thing, literally the only thing that I can see this deck doing that would be really annoying is just spamming Baron. Right? Like that's the one thing that like this archetype doesn't have an Omni Negate, but you bet that every deck that plays this archetype is gonna have Baron, right? And so like that is, yeah. Calamity Lock possible, also possible, right? And this is one of the issues that I have sometimes. It's like when this archetype itself looks dope, right? But then we have those cards from years ago, Baron and Calamity, that kind of make me scared of these kind of cards, right? And I would prefer if we didn't have to be scared of an archetype that looks very promising, because it could do those things, right? But yeah. Anyways, we're not done yet. We have spells as well. We have, if you control an illusion or spellcaster, add a Whitewoods monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. Okay, this card is, on the one hand, very good. On the other hand, it's a little bit of a bummer that this requires you to already have a monster on the field to be able to add, right? So you need a starter with it. The second effect is obviously great for the archetype. You know, the fact that you can discard it first and then reset it and use it later is great. The one thing that is weird, I just noticed that because someone in chat said you can send this for Diabellstar. I don't think you can, right? Like the original Diabellstar doesn't work with these, right? Because if you send this for Diabellstar, you can't. That doesn't count as activating an effect, right? So that doesn't work, which is a little weird. But anyways, I think by far the weirdest thing about this card is that it says if you control an illusion or spellcaster monster, because Hugin is a fairy. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that. Why doesn't it say if you control a illusion, spellcaster, or fairy? Because then I could just summon Hugin, this card, and then reset it, and then immediately activate it. Right? That's kind of weird behavior, you know? That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird of them, honestly. How could they not think of me specifically when they made this archetype? Anyways, this card is good. It's just not as broken as it could be, which is probably a good thing because it requires other cards to even work, right? Which honestly, I think probably not a hot take. Probably a lukewarm take, but I think this entire like make everything a one card combo deal that they've been on recently, I'm glad that they are going away from it a little bit with this. Like I don't want that. I don't want everything to be a one card combo at all times. So I'm honestly happy with this. Beware the White Woods. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. If you control a level 6 or higher illusion or spellcaster, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. Now, this card is significantly less powerful than the first one, because it's harder to activate. And what you get out of it is, in quote unquote, just a pop. The thing is that literally every single one of these cards, or almost every single one of these cards, requires you to send spell traps to the graveyard. Like you have to do this multiple times per turn, right? Sending cards away. And so I think what's interesting about a card like this one is that you can just, because you can do the second effect once per turn, right? So if you, let's say you open this card up, right? And you send it for cost on the first turn and you reset it. And then you make your board and you pass turn. And then on your opponent's turn, you want to maybe use this effect, right? Which also requires you to send a spell trap. So instead of sending something that you want to keep, you just send this, right? Because this one just says, it says hand or field, so you can send the set Beware, right? So you send it on turn 1, it comes back, you keep it there. On the opponent's turn, you send it again. it resets itself again. Basically, as long as you only use it once per turn as a cost, you have infinite fodder from this one card, right? Like, until you want to use it, right? It's just there, it's vibing, set in your spell and trap zone until you actually need a pop, right? As long as you don't need a pop, you can just keep spamming the reset button on it, which I think is okay. I think that's honestly kind of maybe what this deck needs, right? And even if you have to use it, worst case, you can use it as cost twice in the same turn if you need to, right? But yeah, obviously the thing is that it seems like all of their spell traps have this effect, right? So maybe this one is one of the worst ones, but in theory you can like use these over and over and over again. Whispers of the Sinful Spoils, quick play spell. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. Target an illusion or spellcaster you control. Return that face-up monster to the hand extra deck. Then special summon an illusion or spellcaster from grave or banishment. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. Okay, this is interesting because you can summon the Synchro back from the graveyard to book the entire field, which is nice. Right? Yeah. Also, and the second effect has the same applications as this one, right? This is probably better than the first one, right? Or this one, I rather, because this one is the same thing. You can just keep sending it for cost and getting it back for free until you actually need it. Plus Black Witch sets it. Okay, so yeah, this is a Sinful Spoil. So now we have a wanted Diabellstar synergy found. The first one actually, unless I missed something. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I would play Diabellstar just for this. But you are technically right. And then we have Woes of the Whitewoods. Normal trap card, you can only use the first and second effect once per turn. Special summon a Whitewood from hand or deck. Then Synchro summon. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set... Oh, this card is also good. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. I like that one. I like that one. I like that one for multiple reasons. And I want to preface this by saying I like its design too, because it's you guys have to understand how hard it is to design a good trap card in 2024, right? Because there's usually only 3 cases where of how it goes when they try to make a trap card, right? Number 1, it's terrible because it's a trap card. That is the most common scenario. Most of the time, because it's a trap card, cards are being unplayable. The other thing that could happen is you have to make your trap card incredibly powerful or a floodgate to make it see play, which is also not great design. And then the third one, which is also very common, is that the card isn't quite good enough that you actually want to draw it, but it's kind of good enough to play 1 copy to search it, right? That is also like your Sword Soul Blackout situation, your Monadium reframing situation, which is like okay design, but not like crazy good either. This one is interesting because I could see it being an exception to those kind of things, because maybe this is good enough that you actually want to draw it without being a floodgate, right? Because when I go second and I draw this card, it's not completely dead in my hand because I can still send it for my card effects. I need those kind of cards in my deck anyways, right? Because the Witchwoods or the Whitewoods archetype has a bunch of cards that want to send spell traps for cost. So I don't think you're even mad about opening one of this, right? Because it's just like, hey, I can use it for cost, it's free, and it gives me follow-up and interruption on my opponent's turn. I like this. This card is very nice, very cool. All right. Honestly, I am super hyped for this archetype. I'm gonna throw these into Whitewood's Runic real fast, but I also think they have a lot of potential in other archetypes, and they look very, very promising. It looks like a very fun deck. The one thing that I am very concerned about is that they have like, it's just, dude, they need to get rid of Calamity and probably also Baron, because I don't know. I mean, I guess Baron is like, I mean, I don't know, but like, I think particularly when I read stuff like this, right, where I guess this only synchro summons a Whitewoods monster, so this can't even make Calamity or Crimson Dragon. Actually, I like that. I like that they made that they put this on this card. But the thing is with this, right, this is a super cool effect. In general, I think synchro summoning on the opponent's turn is cool, right? The problem is that the only synchros that people make are like Calamity, right? It's literally Calamity. Everything else I'm fine with. Like, if you can make like a cool synchro on your opponent's turn, that's very fun. But making Calamity is cringe. It can make the level 8, which can make Crimson Dragon. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. So, yeah. This deck works well with Centurion. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. No, this is dope. This is dope. This looks like a deck that's right up my alley. This looks like it's exactly what I like in a deck, because it feels very grindy as well, and all that kind of stuff. I'm very much looking forward to these. Probably my favorite archetype that I've seen revealed this year so far. Pretty cool. I can definitely imagine this being a very cool deck. Without feeling like, that's the thing, it feels very good, but I don't think it feels too powerful. If you get what I mean, it's like, I feel like if this deck is gonna be a problem, I think it's going to be because of other cards. Like, because of Calamity, maybe. Because of Baron, maybe. Not because the Whitewoods cards are insane, right? Yeah, I'm looking forward to experimenting with these guys. That's gonna be very fun.